All right, guys, Mrs. Phillips here again. Here's another a little more complicated one. I'm looking at the third example right here. Kennedy is a pilot flying at an altitude of 2.7 kilometers and sights two control towers directly in front of her. The angle of depression to the base of one tower is 37 degrees. The angle of depression to the base of the other tower is 58 degrees. What is the distance between the two towers? Round your answer to the nearest 100th kilometer. Okay, a couple things. Notice that, first of all, they give us angle of depression. So we're not dealing with angles of elevation. We're dealing with angles of depression. But remember, the good news is they're the same. So when we draw our triangles, we can just plop that depression angle in for elevation and we're good to go. Okay, you'll notice that she sees two control towers. In this previous example up here, they saw one fire. Over here in this example, wherever it is, Madison saw one airplane. Okay, even in the more complicated one that we're going to do about Bryson and the bear, he sees one bear, right? But here she sees two control towers. So that should tell you we have two separate situations here. All right, so the first thing is we're going to draw Kennedy. Well, we're not going to draw Kennedy. We're just going to pretend like she's in the air right here, all right? And she's flying at an altitude of 2.7 kilometers. So here's the ground. The altitude is always perpendicular, so this is 2.7 kilometers. She's flying up here. And it says she sees two control towers. So I'm just going to mark tower 1 here and tower 2 here. It doesn't really matter. All right. And it says that the angle of depression to the base of one tower. So again, we're talking about the base, which is the bottom of the tower. So the angle of depression to the base of one tower is 37 degrees and 58 for the other one. So she's going to be looking down at one tower here. All right. And then she's going to be looking down at, and actually I'll do two different colors so you guys can see better. So she's looking at this tower here, and then she's also looking out at this tower here. And remember, angles of depression are formed by the line of sight looking down and what is the horizontal. And in this case, it's invisible, okay? So the angle of depression to one of the towers from the horizontal down is 37 degrees. So this will be 37, it's the smaller angle. And the angle of depression to the other tower is going to be the bigger angle, which is 58 degrees. Okay, and notice that this angle is not what I'm looking at as 58. I'm looking from the horizontal down to her line of sight. Okay, this is Kennedy in an airplane. I'll put a smiley face. All right. So I'm going to call this tower way over here. I'm just going to call this tower 1. And this one I'm going to call tower 2. Doesn't really matter. You can label them A and B, T1, T2. You could flip these, X and Y. Who cares? Okay. So the question is saying, what is the distance between the two towers? And as you guys probably kind of realized, that is this. We're looking for this right here. What is the distance between the two towers? Well, in order to figure that out, I have to figure out the distance from the base of the tower to the first, what are they called? Control tower. So the base of the elevation, rather, to the first control tower. So this we'll call that Y. And then we also have to figure out the distance from here to the other control tower, which I'll call X. And then you guys can see that if you split this up, you basically have two right triangles. We have this right triangle that goes to the second tower, and we're looking for Y. And then we have this right triangle, which goes to the first tower, and we'll call that length we're looking for X. All right. So as we said before, angle of elevation and angle of depression are the same. So this angle right here, formed by the horizontal and the green line, right here looking down, is going to be the same as this angle here, horizontal green line looking up. So this is going to be 37 degrees. And my other one right here, this big angle and this big angle are going to be the same. This will be 58 degrees. So now you're looking at two separate triangles. Now some kids like to draw the triangles, actually draw them separate, and you can do that because it's basically two situations. I just like to try to keep it all together here. So my reference angle is going to be, let's look at try to figure out x first, okay? My reference angle is going to be 37, so I have opposite right here, and then I have adjacent, which is x, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of 37 is 2.7 over x. And when I solve for x, I get approximately, let's see, oops, my calculator's off. Come on. 2.7 divided by tangent of 37, and I get 3.58 kilometers. Okay, so that's this. And then when I go to figure out y, it's going to be very similar. Okay, this is my reference angle. I have opposite, and now y is my adjacent. So tangent of 58 is going to be 2.7 over y. I'm using 58 now, and y. So y is approximately 2.7 divided by tangent 58, 1.69 kilometers. Okay, so to figure out then this little spot here, I'm going to take big chunk minus smaller chunk, and that gives me that. So I'm going to take 3.58 minus 1.69, okay? Or in other words, I'm going to take x minus y. So big minus little equals distance between towers. So I take 3.58 minus 1.69, and I get, whoops, 3.58 minus 1.69 equals 1.89 kilometers, and that is my answer, because the question says, what's the distance between the two towers? That's what I'm looking for. And so I have to take this as my final answer. This is part of the answer, this is part of the answer, this is the final answer. So to summarize, this was a long example, man. What you had to do is draw your altitude, draw the ground, draw the two towers. The angle of depression to one tower is 37 degrees, which we can plot down as the angle of elevation. The angle of depression to the other tower is 58, which we can plot down as the angle of elevation. Your height here, your altitude is 2.7 kilometers. I want to figure distance between the two towers. So I have to find the distance from this point on the ground of elevation over to the first tower, and then I also have to find the distance from this point of the ground over to the second tower, and then subtract big, take away little, gives you that 1.89. All right, hopefully that helps. Bye guys.